Well, hello there again. I recently purchased this Piaggio Quartz 50 with liquid cooling. A small little two-stroke engine, has about 15k kilometers on it. And I'm just getting this one in addition to my Vespa, so I have something to head to work, since I don't want to do the long trip with the Vespa the whole time. And rather have a more crappier scooter for that. And this one should do the job nicely. It's also made by Piaggio, which is great. And I picked it up really cheap, and the condition of it is acceptable. Everything that needs to work is in the condition it needs to be in order for it to work, and there are a few repairs that need to be done. For example, like the blinker relay is broken, and overall, just the regular stuff you find on any scooter. Just exchange some fluids, replace some brake pads and whatnot. And the guy just told me, this was like his scooter he drove last year, and they were planning on doing some repairs on it. So, since he was not the one who has any mechanical or experience whatsoever, so he asked a friend who knows a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, and that friend's cousin or whatever then came by and probably started doing some repairs on this thing. So, he then just told me, well, the scooter wouldn't start anymore. Everything would spin up, but it will just not start. So, when checking the kickstart on it, I had that weird sensation, well, every scooter I've tinkered with had a broken kickstart on it, so guess that cannot be the cause of it. So I try the e-starter and I just hear the motor spinning. It's not engaging with anything. So I take off the gearbox cover and let's drop the flash on. There we go, that's the gearbox. Now, would you believe the reason why the electro starter motor down here, which is perfectly fine, and the kickstart is not engaging? Well, I open the gearbox up and I have the rear plate of the Variomatic, and I have this distance pin in it. So, that's all that it is. Of course, the nut to secure the things on there. That's it. So, yeah, that's a bit of a brilliance moment, where you're just thinking, like, really, how can you not have noticed that the most important part on starting a scooter is missing? Well, my guess is just since a bunch of screws were also missing on the gearbox cover, which is typical. I don't know why people don't just store these screws properly. My guess is just that the guy who knows a guy who knows a guy, his cousin's friend or whatever, had pretty much no experience with scooters at all and just did a really shitty job at it. Or they just replaced this belt since it looks fairly new. Yeah, this thing doesn't have any wear on it. That's probably what they did, and they couldn't get the thing back together. And instead of putting the screws and all the other components in the compartment the scooter has, where you can conveniently store all kinds of stuff, he just lost them. No matter, it's just a 20-euro part, comes with everything I need, and then this thing should be working. Yeah, it's a little bit scratched up, but honestly, I do not care. This is just a scooter I'm using for work. I don't care if it's a bit crappy and if some components are in not the perfect shape. It's still gonna work. But would you believe that of all the components which were missing on this thing was still on there? You know what this ring is for? This ring only allows the Varimatic to open up to a very specific level. It cannot go further than that. So essentially mechanically limiting the speed of the scooter. I don't think that this scooter has any electronics in it that will limit the RPM. It doesn't look like it. Even my new Vespa doesn't have that. It's all just relying on this ring and some other stuffs like limiting the airflow into the carburetor and pumping some exhaust fumes back into the cylinder. But usually every scooter I've tinkered with, this thing was missing, just so you can go a little bit faster. So instead of 45, the scooter will then easily do 60 or so. That is just hilarious to me.